I'm back. So we think, then we convince, okay, so there's rational aspects of the experience, there's sensory aspects of the experience, but I want to specifically talk about some of the emotional aspects. So if we look at where expectations originate, we have an ad or a billboard that promises something, right? The weird thing about promises, if someone says to you, I will call you in 2 hours, in about 2 hours, this gentleman will start preparing. 15 minutes later, he will go, what she said, she will call me. That's okay, right? So promises has a weird way of getting stuck in our brains. We also heard a lot. We've listened to thousands and thousands of telephone calls and calls and that. Someone would say, when will you get back to me? They'll say, tomorrow. And they go, what time tomorrow? They go, in the day tomorrow. And they go, you know I'm writing this down. So promises is very interesting. But then, also previous experiences. You know, sometimes when I go to a fantastic restaurant, I'm really afraid to go back the next time. Because I'm hoping, will it be as good? Or will I be disappointed? You know, when you've had an experience where you just go, this is mind-blowing. Right? Will it be as good the second time? Because then we've got a benchmark against which we compare. And then word of mouth. But somehow, we think that people only compare us with businesses in our category. And it doesn't work like that, right? The banks, when they do competitive analysis, MCB, Absa, Standard Bank, they compare themselves with banks. And so we go, guys, no, you need to compare yourself with some of the cooler kids on the block. You need to compare yourself with Apple Pay. But you also need to look at how the young generation, how they get instant gratification. You need to compare yourself with Instagram. You need to compare yourself with the games that they play. If anything in an app is more difficult than playing Candy Crush, you've got a problem, right? So we're no longer comparing. In the consumer mind doesn't work like that. You go, oh shame, they're a bank, they have a little bit more difficult time. It doesn't work like that. They go, everything in my life is fast and easy. Why does it take 2 weeks to open a bank account and get a card? Right. So we come from a generation where we still might have some patience. We've been speaking the whole week about these Gen X's, right? The little assholes that want so much money and they're never satisfied with anything, right? They are our customer, right? And it's very easy to label them, but they are our customer. The fact that we come from a world where our parents taught us you'll be seen but not heard, right? The Gen X's, they are heard, sometimes not seen, right? They are seen on Instagram, right? Lola, will you give me?
That's correct. Gen Z and Gen X, accurate.
She just
I wouldn't say it that way.
I have 3 of them in my home, right? So I need to make sure, obviously, that they're going to not be self-centered assholes for the rest of their life, right? But the work environment that they're moving into, they're mostly not going to have one job. You know, my son just turned 18. I said, let's talk about your careers. You need to have 3 jobs. One that cannot be replaced by robots, one that you absolutely love, and the other one that makes you a shitload of money so you can fund your own hobbies, right? And get out of my house. Alright, so we need to look at this the constant changing landscape of consumers. They are different to what they were 20 and 30 years ago. Alright, now, we think this stuff is super neat, right? We can put it in a process map, we slap it into Visio, we go and put it into an IT system and it's going to work. Unfortunately, my job today is to tell you that it is messy, right? When you're working with humans, it's unpredictable. And I'm going to talk later about the super skills that we need to be teaching our teams to be able to deal with this unpredictability. Because you can train people on empathy.
charisma is a trainable skill. Some people are born charismatic, but some people can be trained. And the wonderful thing about charisma is you can take the most angry person and turn them into someone with understanding. So there's skills that we need for this ever-changing consumer landscape. Now, what we forget about customer experience, we've somehow turned it into a discipline, right? Because you've come this morning, so I can give you a tool set. But the tool set cannot be the tool set needs to be not superficially applied. I was thinking in Afrikaans and I was asking to help me translate. Not superficially applied, right? We need to consider that the experience happens inside of the customer. And often, we don't hear the story that happens inside the customer. So when we survey them, they give us the rational things. You know, how long did they take to answer your phone call? Was the agent friendly? Did you achieve your goal? Right? We ask about the rational things, and sometimes we throw the friendly in there, but we never hear the internal story, because experiences tell me something about myself. And who's had a case where a customer was so angry, and you look at the case and you go, none of this makes sense. Irrational. Who's had a case where a customer was so irrationally angry that you go, I don't understand this. You've had them, right? It's got nothing to do really with what happened there. It's all about what happened the last time when the customer complained, what happened 10 years ago, right? So we actually store those things, and then we start making up a story about ourselves. And I will give you a great example of that. So, you know, the internal result of these experiences is people, and you'll never hear this, do they see me as successful? Am I good enough? You know, do they respect me? You know, sometimes when I've had interactions and I feel cheated, I go, I work fucking hard for my money. You know, I want you to respect my money. And the fact that I work hard for this stuff, I don't want I don't want an inferior product. I don't want an inferior experience. You know, my teenage children, they don't want to go anywhere with me anymore, right? We can't go to a restaurant. Before we go to a restaurant, they go, Mommy, can we talk to you? Mommy, how about tonight? You just enjoy it. Please, Mommy, just don't make a scene. Like, right? But I will make a scene until I die in your beautiful waterfall, right? Because it's wrong. They ruin my memories, right? If I have a bad meal at a restaurant, it wasn't about the meal. It was about me not having to do it at home and wash dishes. It was about me having a gastronomic experience that I see on the Food Channel. It was about me having a dinner with my family before they all leave home and go to exotic countries, right? That was what I was buying. I wasn't buying, you know, the sad-looking piece of steak and the chips that look like it's 3 days old. I was buying a memory. And when they ruin my memory, it goes like, you see, I can never make good decisions. And that's the part of customer experience. We don't want to know this, right? I tell executives this, and you can just see they're dying inside a little bit, and they know they're going to have to up their meds because it's just not going to. They just get instantly depressed because this is the science, but this is the part that most companies don't want to do. So there's 2 reasons why a human will do things. That's how easy this is. We make decisions for 2 reasons. The one is to move towards pleasure, which is the one that probably doesn't happen that much. The one that happens a lot more is moving away from pain or anticipated pain. So, if a brand does not give me pleasure but they give me pain, I'm going to want to move away from it. You would have heard the term where people say, oh, you're rather the devil you know. Do you know how bad that is? If you've become the brand that is the devil you know, right? Because people go, the effort is too much to move. Who's recently moved bank accounts? Who's recently, No one has moved bank accounts. Because it's a pain in the ass to move your bank account. Okay? Who's recently been unhappy with their bank? Raise your hand if you've been unhappy with your bank. Oh, only 2 people. Jeez, I need to move to a bank here in Mauritius. Can you hook me up with MCB? Maybe they can make me happy for a change. Well, I can tell you in the last week I've written at least 5 emails, little annoyed emails, right? Not angry. The angry emails have the special characters in the capitals. I haven't written them, but you know, it's difficult sometimes to move away from a brand that makes you feel like crap. Okay, so do you want to hear a story? Okay, I'll tell you the story. It's not a story that I'm super proud of, but I'm going to tell it to you in any case. So that is a depiction of an amazing piece of art that my daughter brought home when she was about 4 years old. And she ran to me. She's blonde, blue-eyed, just the most amazing, beautiful, vibrant person. Like I look at her and I go, oh, I could be just like her. Right? She was just born, but very cheeky. Right? She gives me a lot of shit these days. You know. I don't know, about a year ago she started rolling her eyes, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's go to when she was 4. She came home excited, Mommy, look at my picture. We had art at school, and you know, I go like, oh, that's beautiful. Like, look at the teeth, and her picture, the teeth was yellow, and there was like saliva dripping from the teeth and the spikes, and I'm so proud, and she goes, Mommy, I'm so glad you like it, it's you. and I die a little bit inside. But I thought if I keep my mouth like this, I just die. I go, oh honey, how delightful. I go, you know what? I was born in a very autistic family, so I go, honey, you know what? Your grandfather is such a great artist, and I go, you know, every artist, Van Gogh, Picasso, Rembrandt, all of them had inspiration. Before they painted something, they have inspiration, they have some kind of a muse. Won't you just tell Mommy, what particularly inspired this portrayal of me? I just want to, you know, I want to be even more proud of you. She goes, I'm sorry. She goes, Mommy, remember that day we went into that store? I said, what store, honey? She goes, no, when we took the vacuum cleaner back. I go, yes. She goes, Mommy, you were so angry at that lady. I thought you were going to eat her out. She goes, Boy, I was standing next to you and you spit on my arm. That's how angry you were. And I turned my other arm. She goes, and you spit on my other arm. She said, I was getting a little bit afraid because I wasn't sure what was going to happen to the lady on the other side of the counter. She said, Mommy, but I'm so glad we left. Okay, so my version of the story. Oh, by the way, it's now hanging framed in our house, right? And I get to look at this every day. My version of the story. I have 3 children. At the time, they were under the age of 10 and 4 Jack Russells, right? They're all over my house, right? Let's just confess, I'm not domestically that ambitious and passionate. There's also a lot of, when you have little kids, there's a lot of unidentified shit lying around that you don't want to touch, you don't know what it is. So, you know, I take the easy way out. I just vacuum everything. This vacuum cleaner happened to be only 2 weeks old. The lady said to me, I'm sorry, madam, we're going to have to send it away. It's going to take between 6 and 8 weeks. I said to her, you've got to be shitting me. It's brand new. I said, I have 3 children and 4 Jack Russells. She goes, that is our process, but you know with their eyes. When someone says to me, like, that is our process with their eyes, I think something in me just trips. It just trips. So I proceeded to then have a complete meltdown, where I used words that my mother said I should not be using, and where I spit pretty much on everyone. Now, the backstory, I've never ever been back to the store, ever. right? My daughter's turning 30. I've not ever been back to the store. They like your 361, right? They have amazing appliances at amazing prices. You know, I'm not going back there because of this lady, because she's long since moved on. I think she might have resigned that same day, actually. But I don't go there because of the person I became. I'm deeply ashamed for having like a total meltdown. It was justified. I'm trying to defend myself. It was justified. I was the customer. They were making some ridiculous suggestion, right? But I don't like the person who I became when I was faced with that situation. And that's why I don't go back there. And there's a few more stories like that. There's luckily only one picture that takes me back there immediately, right? So it's not about them. Yes, the interaction wasn't ideal. Yes, it wasn't designed right. Yes, 6 to 8 weeks is just freaking ridiculous for a new thing that should have a warranty, right? So, I mean, I did suggest where the lady should put the vacuum cleaner. I also then proceeded just to storm out of the shop, leave the vacuum cleaner there, and I went to another shop and bought a really El Cheapo vacuum cleaner that's still going, people. It's still vacuuming Jack Russell hair. Didn't know Jack Russells can live so long, people. It's insane. So that's really the end result of experiences is it's telling us the things about ourselves that we don't want people to know, right? I'm so bad at organizing my home, and this just made me feel like crap. You see, again, I cannot fix the home situation, and I didn't feel great about that. So sometimes the connections we make about the stories are not rational. And this shop will never hear the story unless you tell them, right? They will not hear the story. So the great thing about this is we can design these experiences not to have this outcome. Right, so if someone has a poor experience, they will move away from the pain, right? The company will experience financial loss, and there was deep suffering and pain for that poor young lady that was managing the customer service desk. And still, to this day, 9 years later, I look at that picture and I have some suffering and pain because of the person I became. So, let's see what we can do about this. You would have seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We start at the bottom with the basics, physical security, and then we end up there at the top of the mountain, very zen self-actualization, and we've arrived in this world, right? So different experiences will play into different parts of this Maslow's hierarchy. Not all experiences are equal, right? We've got a nice mixed bundle of brands here today. Some of your experiences are highly desirable. Some of your experiences are not so desirable, right? You've had those phone calls where they're trying to sell you some funeral cover, right? Hi madam, I'm calling you today because I have a product for you that is just incredible, you know? And we're running a promotion at this point. It's fantastic. And we have an added benefit. Our funeral cover allows you to choose a state-of-the-art coffin so that you can go into infinity in this beautiful coffin. I go, I don't give a shit. When I'm dead, I don't give a shit. And I've just found that I'm going to be buried, my ashes will be put in a blob, because that's where I'm going to die. That's not a desirable experience, right? I need it, but I don't want to think about it, and I actually really don't want to have it, but I must have it. So my family can pick out the state-of-the-art coffin that will take me into the next realm, right? So if we look at the experiences, there's necessity, which these days is Wi-Fi, right? For the kids, necessity is Wi-Fi, right? No more bread and milk. Skip the bread and milk. Let's just make sure there's Wi-Fi, right? Then we've got those luxury experiences. I'm going to have to pick on you. Can I pick on you? So this lady, she provides luxury experiences, right? I was telling her the story about I have loved Mercedes my entire life, right? Volvo and Mercedes, but Mercedes more, right? So I drive an A180 Mercedes, super light on fuel, right? I can go and go and go. I fill it up once a month, people. That is incredible, the fuel consumption on a diesel one. And I've always loved Mercedes. When I was a baby, I stayed with my grandma, and my grandma had this thing. Every 5 years, she would get a brand new Mercedes. So my dad says he thinks this Mercedes thing came from me as a baby, lying in my carry-cot in the back of the Mercedes, and all I could see was the metal. Those Mercedes had the metal little logo that was sticking out. That's all I could see. So that's imprinted in my mind, right? So again, luxury. It's not about, yes, for some it's about the technicalities of the car, right? For me, it's about freedom. When I get in my car and I put the music on and I open my windows, it's about freedom. It's about how free it makes me feel when I can go places. When you get into a brand new Mercedes, which, and I do that in the showrooms, right? I go into the showroom and I just sit in the car. I obviously put on my most expensive jewelry, right? So they think I can actually afford a brand new one, right? Give the most amazing coffee. I've even had bubbly in the showroom. You just need to have the right attitude, a lot of confidence, right? But people, the smell of new leather, right? The smell of new leather in a car, right? Yeah. That is a sensory experience for you. So, some experiences are about memory, right? People coming as tourists to your country, right? They're buying memories. They're not buying a hotel room. They're buying memories. And Instagram selfies. That's what they're buying, right? So they have great stories to tell. And we've spoken about the garage purchases. So these are a few examples. Necessities, school clothes, milk, bread, luxury. If you go buy bread, sourdough bread that has been living for the last 20 years and they're selling it at a farmer's market, now it's no longer, same product, but it's no longer a necessity, right? Now it becomes a kind of a luxury item. I once bought Ferragamo shoes at a thrift store, right, for $10. I went home, right, and I googled the price, and I went like, yes, the luxury items for $10. Something like flowers, family holidays, and then our garage things, insurance, bank accounts, and alarm systems. We have state-of-the-art alarm systems in South Africa. They're so expensive, but they are so ridiculous to spend that much money on an alarm system. All right, now, I want to zoom for a moment just into the memory experiences. Because the memory experiences can be, you know, we can design this so people remember us. If I say to you quickly, think about the last month, an experience that you had with a brand as a paying customer. Find that experience. When you find the experience, raise your hand. Can you think about an experience? Okay, I see one, two, three. Most of you are struggling because most experiences are bland. You don't remember them. They're insignificant. They're so unremarkable that you just don't remember them, right? The one you remembered, Sandri. Was it a positive or a negative experience? Both, positive and negative. Right, so the amazing thing is, if we have a peak in the experience, we're going to remember that. The negative experience, would you mind telling us what that was?
Yes, it's my bank.
No surprise there.
My debit card expired. So normally what they do, they just send you an SMS and tell you to activate the new one, provided the new one has arrived by post, which never did. So I called them, the customer service, and told them I never received a new card, mine is expired, and I create a new one, just pick it up in 1 week. Where do you want to pick it up? I said, I work in the event, it's closer from the event. She said, okay, next week it will be ready. That one was on the 9th of today. I still haven't seen it got. And I called twice.
That must be on TV, right?
Yep.
Come to Africa.
We have people from Upstar and Africa in this room.
Let's just check. We can talk about the brands that are not here. Those assholes should have been here. We could have gotten that sorted out for you right here and now. Right. The thing is, she's captive. She can't really move because it's so difficult to move, right? So, but what she's going to do, she's going to now look for sympathy with other people, right? She's going to go, you know what? I still don't have my debit card, right? And then if there's people with bad experience from the same brand, they're going to gang up, right? Now they have a little support group. You know, how bad is my bank support group? And they talk about that. But the next time you're looking for finance somewhere, it might pivot you out of that relationship, right? You might say, listen, this time I'm gonna multi-banked, right? You know, I sometimes hedge my risks, right? If this guy fucks up their night, at least I've got another two bank accounts, right? And the banks, they don't realize that. We can compare like for like what it's like dealing with you and with you and with you, because I've got 3 apps on my phone. Dudes, if you want insight, ask me. Don't ask your UX people to go and sit in a dark room and come up with new methodologies. Ask your customers because they know. Right, so the amazing thing is, we can design this. Now, who's responsible for financial management of project budgets? You know, the coolest guy in the room. You're an accountant.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm gonna get a photo with you. Normally I can spot them, right? You know, white shirt, black tie, grey underpants, grey trousers, grey socks, and all the same matching colored. So I'm so nice to meet you. Okay. So for you and everybody else. This is very expensive, right? To get from bland to that peak, it's going to cost you a shitload of money, right? This is less expensive, and you're actually going to take a person who's had a bad experience. If you take them just there, they're going to talk more about you. Because they're going to say, in everybody that I've ever complained to, nobody's been so understanding, so kind, so patient, so whatever positive thing. So for people that don't want to spend too much on their customer experience, please don't go and design journeys that are just positive things. Start with your crap in your system and fix it. And you're gonna immediately see results. If you take your top 10 complaints and you design customer experience into them, you're gonna see immediate results. In as little as 4 months for a medical aid administrator that we work with, we showed results of a saving of 6 million rands. I don't know what that is in rupees, but it's a lot. 6 million rands is probably
15 million.
18 million. 18 million rupees.
There we go. Thank you for you're the banker in the room.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks. Get to her. Right, she's going to solve all your problems. In 4 months, right? Look at other projects. Where have you seen those results in 4 months? Like we went for the pain. We want to design the pain out of the system. All right. So let me quickly hear from you. We're going to talk about measurements for our coolest dude in the room, right? Measurements. What do you currently measure around customer experience? What do you measure in your response time? Say again.
Response time.
Response time. We measure response time. All right. CSAT. Customer satisfaction. Satisfaction. Turnaround time.
Sentiment.
Sentiment. You look at sentiment, right?
Anyone measure Net Promoter Score?
Yeah, and PS as well.
Okay, Net Promoter Score for everyone in the room. I'm just going to explain what it means. It's developed by Fred Reichelt, and he wanted to get a simple measure for loyalty and experience. So it's a very composite measure. The question is, how likely are you to recommend me to family and friends? The score is 0 to 10. 9 and 10 are promoters, right? They are your cheerleaders. They will talk about you everywhere. 7s and 8s are passives. They say nothing. 0 to 6 is detractors. I call the 0s and 1s terrorists. Terrorists. They will blow up your brand on social media. At every barbecue, they will go, oh, my bank is so shit, I don't have my card, it's terrible, they caused me so much hassle and I had to phone them 10 times. Do you know how busy I am? And then everybody will start telling their stories, and it will be such a pity party of people having poor banking experiences, right? It's a dangerous measure. If you measure people on Net Promoter Score, I once said to someone who said to me, measured on Net Promoter Score and I have no control. I said, give me your CEO's number now. You're going to tell him he's an asshole because I can. You can't, but I can tell him. So it can be a very dangerous measure. Something you mentioned turnaround time, response time. I love measuring customer effort. How much effort did you have to spend to get this done? Which translates into how they experience turnaround time. Turnaround time is a very internal focused measure, right? That we can do a lot of stuff internally with. But that still doesn't say to you what the customer's experience was, whether the problem was solved. Sometimes, if we look at calls in isolation, yes, the call was handled quickly, but the customer had to phone back 5 times because the problem wasn't resolved, and often we don't measure that. So, I want to quickly show you. Our friend Peter Drucker said, what gets measured gets improved. So if you say to me, my customer experience is not ideal, it's not optimal, and I look at your scorecard, I will tell you why. Because you're measuring internal stuff, you're not measuring the things that are important to employees and customers. You're measuring operational things. If you say you want to become the warmest brand, the most loved brand, you're going to have to measure love. How much does your employees and your customers love you? Because you can't just measure one. Right. So this is a scorecard. We call it the CX barometer that we developed for the bank. Right? she's going, it's very small. I did small on purpose. Right. So that you don't steal it. No, I'm kidding. Okay. So I want to just quickly talk about what we have on here. It's very customer focused. So we felt like F&B really wanted to help us. We measure how many customers feel that the bank really wanted to help them. We look at how much effort did it take to open an account, to activate the app, to tell someone something's gone wrong, to upgrade, to apply for credit. So we measure effort. How much effort did it take from you? How much time did it take from you? Then we do satisfaction, the relationship with your banker, the telephonic interactions, the digital interactions. So this is like your typical omni-channel. How did you experience all of the channels? And then, how many customers joined, how many customers left? That's really the bottom line, right? How many did we get and how many did we lose? And then, what is their lifetime value? How long did they stay with us? When do they leave? Why do they leave? Right? And then sentiment, and would you recommend, and did your experience meet expectations? So this is a customer-focused scorecard, not average handling time, turnaround time. You see what I mean? So if they measure this, what will they get? If all their people know that this is being measured, what will they get? A great experience.
Wow, experience.
Great experience, right. Okay, so that is me. Now, you're ready to do some interactive stuff. I tried not to make the PowerPoint too boring, right?
will warm you up for the things we're going to do later. But it's also going to tell you things about yourself and how you make assumptions. All right. So I'm handing out a little duck to you, a little Lego duck, and I'll tell you now why I'm handing out a little Lego duck to you. About 7 or 8 years ago, I had the privilege of going to Denmark to the Lego Academy. Yes, my CFO said to me, Chantal, it cannot possibly cost so much to go to the Lego Academy. And I hope whatever you're going to learn, you're going to put into practice. I want to see serious ROI on this Lego Serious Play course. And I learned to use Lego Serious Play. Now, Lego developed this method with a whole lot of professors and smart people when their own business was really in trouble. There was a time when, digital games and TV games and PSP became really cool and they didn't sell as much Lego anymore. And they said, we have to innovate. We have to get to the next level of our value proposition. And they used this method to really innovate around their business. And what they found was when you use materials, whether it is Lego or whether it is any prototyping materials, when you solve problems in 3D, your brain responds differently. You actually get to answers that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten to. So the physical brain power that you use when you model answers to problems, when you model solutions, is so much more. Right. So we're going to do some voodoo with your brain this morning. All right. Right. All healthy voodoo. And what's great about this method is you kind of go into a bit of a state of flow. So when I give you timings this morning of, you doing stuff, you're going to say to me, like, that cannot have been 5 minutes, right? Because you actually get so involved in working with this that you lose time. All right, so Laura is giving you a piece of grid paper and a duck. I see, Laura, do we have enough ducks there, or do we need more?
I think I don't need one in the contract.
If your duck doesn't look exactly like your colleagues at the table's duck, it's just a hybrid. There's some DNA issue. All right, so I'm going to give you 2 challenges, right? For our game experts in the room, right? 2 challenges, right? You will have 2 minutes to complete this challenge. It will be a competition, right? It will be a competition. Now, let's think, should we up the ante? Keshu, I think we should put a prize. We should put a prize for this competition. What do you think?
Yes, a trip to Cape Town.
Okay, now what I had in mind is going to sound a lot more boring than that. Okay, so we're going to play 2 rounds, right? The winner of the first round and the second round will get an hour with me on Zoom, and you can ask me anything, and we can do a bit of mentoring and coaching on your business. How does that sound? It's not quite a trip to Cape Town. Unless you pay your own flight, then you can come to my house, stay as long as what you want. I might give you a lot of wine, so if you're not a wine drinker. All right, how does that sound? Okay, so you will win our with me. We can have wine online as well. Or dinner time. Okay, so your challenge. You ready for your challenge? I'm going to give you the instruction only once, right? So there's a bit of listening here that needs to happen as well. I'm going to give you the instruction only once. Lola is going to set the timer strictly 2 minutes. So your first challenge, you will use the piece of grid paper only. And Lola, you ready to set the time?
Already set.
Okay. So I want you to draw as many versions of a duck as what you can manage to do in 2 minutes, starting now.
100